What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Eric Wilson. Today, joined by my co-host, Anthony Rivardo. It's still summertime. Not a lot of New York Rangers news going around these days, but this past weekend was Fanatics Fest in New York City, and it just so happens that one of our members, Anthony Rivardo, was there. He got to meet a couple of New York Rangers legends, including Matt Rempe. Not a legend yet, but he will get there someday. Henrik Lundqvist, Mike Richter was there, Ty Domi was there. There's a whole cast of characters that were present. You got to hear them talk. We got a couple quotes that we're going to go over and pretty much recap everything we heard them say and give our thoughts on it and how we think some of the current players are going to play this upcoming season. So we're going to get right on into that. But before we do, make sure you guys like, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss notification. Please leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. And lastly, be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms at Fireside Rangers. But before we really get into it, Anthony, how are you doing today? And I guess to start us off, tell me how Fanatics Fest was.
Yeah, super excited to have represented Empire Sports Media, Fireside Giants, and Fireside Rangers at Fanatics Fest as a member of the press. It was a really awesome experience. It was something that I'll never forget, once in a lifetime experience as well. And man, the panels were great. Like the Giants panel, if you're a Giants fan, was sick. Eli Manning, Michael Strahan, and a few other Giants legends up there just talking about the teams that they played for, the Super Bowls that they won. That was amazing. If you're a Knicks fan, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Ben Stiller, Spike Lee did a panel. It was really cool. And then, of course, the New York Rangers panel, Lundqvist, Rempe. That was a ton of fun as well. We just had a blast covering that, myself and Ryan Garcia, fellow Empire Sports Media from Fireside Yankees. You guys might know him. So it was a great time. Listen, we were laughing our asses off. We went to the Travis Scott, Michael Rubin panel, and he stopped it midway through and threw a concert. Crazy experience. Got to go all the way, VIP, free, member of the press experience. So it was cool stuff. But that Rangers panel really stood out, and there were a lot of highlight moments from it that I'm excited to discuss. I think the first and foremost thing that I want to bring up, Eric, is Matt Rempe discussing his off-season training. He said that he's been spending the summer training hard with Jonathan Quick. He's been staying with the Quick family. And I think that's pretty cool. I mean, Mike Richter was talking about Quick, and he said, you guys just wait until you see Quick kick some ass this season. They didn't really talk about Igor Shesterkin like at all in the panel, but all the boys up there were hyping up Jonathan Quick for whatever reason. And I'm here for it, man. Jonathan Quick is great. Like, we've talked about him on this channel, how good he played last year, how, there's arguments to be made that he should have played more, maybe he should play more this upcoming season since he's still with the Rangers. All of that stuff being constant, but I do think the conversation that they had at Fanatics Fest really highlighted the leadership qualities of Jonathan Quick and the rising talent of Matt Rempe, his dedication to his craft and his desire to get better. So as we kind of have this conversation about the panel and what I took away from it, those two players are who I want to discuss. That's really my top two takeaways is we've got a young rising stud in Matt Rempe. You should see the way the fans loved him at Fanatics Fest. The Rempe chants were electric. And the way that those legends up on the stage with Rempe talked about him, I mean, you would think this guy was like an MVP level player, and he's not, but they see the potential in him. We're talking about Ty Domi and Mike Richter and Henrik Lundqvist praising Matt Rempe all the way, saying that they truly believe he's going to be a star. So if you had your doubts about him, you thought that he's not a great skater, well, Ty Domi thinks he's an excellent skater. So I don't know who you want to listen to, your own conscience or Ty Domi. I don't know. It was just a cool panel. And like I said, my confidence in Quick, my confidence in Matt Rempe all went up from this panel, hearing these legends talk about those guys. And it was just a really fun, cool experience.
Yeah, I mean, what I'll say is, game respects game. I know Ty Domi was the one that started the Matt Rempe chants, everyone just chanting Rempe's name. And, Rempe's the type of guy, he likes to get into the fights. He always finds himself in the penalty box. Ty Domi, the host of the panel, he is currently the third most penalty minutes in NHL history. He spent a lot of time in the league, a couple seasons with the Rangers, and he knows his way around the penalty box or so. So, game respects game. Rempe obviously has been training with Jonathan Quick this season, living with the family. I also think that's funny that, like a 20-year-old kid is living with like a upper 30-year-old man and his wife and kids. It's kind of, you could probably make a sitcom out of that, But it's cool to see the team kind of coming together. building bonds, training together. I know Rempe said that Kreider was training in Connecticut with them as well. So just to see Matt Rempe working on his game, shooting on an all-time goalie and playing with one of our best goal scorers in New York Rangers history, it's a good sign to see. Rempe's the type of player who, deserves a spot in the lineup, in my opinion. Didn't really receive it throughout the playoffs last season, and arguably might be fighting for a spot on the roster this upcoming season. So knowing that he's been putting in the work, and it's a good sign to see. He's training with some of our best players, and I really like that. Jonathan Quick, he might be our backup goalie, but don't forget, he's a leader in the locker room. He's won 3 Stanley Cups, and no matter what happens throughout the rest of his career, I am more than certain Jonathan Quick will end up in the Hockey Hall of Fame, possibly first ballot, in my opinion. That might be my biggest take of the day. But if not first ballot, definitely within a few years of retirement, which who knows when it'll happen. I don't know. But I love Jonathan Quick. He's a legend. Chris Kreider, maybe not an NHL legend, but a New York Rangers legend. Seeing them basically spend their entire summer training this young, bruising fighter, power forward, enforcer, I love to see it. Rempe's got a great heart. He's got a lot of skill. Didn't really get all the opportunities in the world to use it last season. But I think this upcoming year, he's going to make a very strong case to become a mainstay roster player. 4th line, so be it. But he's really going to make his mark in the NHL this upcoming season. I know it for sure. He's already got the rest of the NHL fan bases hating on him. That's what we love to see. Whenever I see a Rempe post on Instagram, I always read the comments because it's all hate. And that's what you love to see. You hate him because he ain't on your team, and that's why we love him, because he's on our team. So hearing what Rempe had to say at Fanatics Fest made me very excited for this upcoming season. Should be a really fun training camp, and I'll be sure to stay tuned on that too.
Yeah, and I'll be posting some more of those quotes and clips from the panel on our Fireside Rangers social media channel, so make sure you guys stay tuned to that, and written transcriptions of the panel on empiresportsmedia.com. So again, stay tuned to the content. Follow me on Twitter if you want to see when those articles go live. I always tweet them out. But one of the other things that I want to kind of harp on, Eric, Henrik Lundqvist, really all 4 of the guys on the panel talked about this, but I thought Henrik Lundqvist really went into detail talking about the impact that Rangers fans make on the game. Just talking about how the energy in that building is like contagious and drives those players to support. Like, I'll read the quote that I transcribed here. You feel that when you walk in, the pressure of performing, and you put a lot of pressure on yourself. Obviously, when you do well, you feel excited, but you feel that support from the crowd during the moment, in a crucial moment of the game, after a big save, a big win. That's what we work for. It's hard to describe. It never gets old, never. To feel appreciated that way when you put in the work and you're playing a big part in a big moment of the game, it never gets old. Loved what Henrik Lundqvist had to say about that. The other guys as well. Matt Rempe kind of took that, piggybacked off of it, discussed how the energy was just crazy during the Stadium Series game when he made his debut, got into his big fight, all of that stuff. And I think that it's fun just to kind of highlight, like, these legends that we look up to. They have these storied careers, right? We're kind of a part of it, though. Rangers fans are part of those stories that those players make, because without the fans, they can't pull all that stuff off. So I just thought that it was really cool to hear from the King, him talking about how Madison Square Garden just puts an extra amount of pressure on you to perform, and it honestly does create, in many cases, better players.
Yeah, I mean, what I'll say is Henrik Lundqvist is the #1 all-time greatest New York Ranger, without a doubt. And I think that every single person watching this at least somewhat agrees with that sentiment. And my only regret with this channel is that we started it too late to make live content about Henrik Lundqvist. He's the king of New York for a reason. He carried us years and years and years. He carried us for like 2 decades. He was drafted in the 7th round in the year 2000. He didn't really get to start playing for a couple of years, but then after that, man, that 2010s decade, this entire franchise was Henrik Lundqvist. Before there were Rempe chants, there were Igor chants, and before there were Igor chants, there was 20 years of Lundqvist chants. When I think of the New York Rangers, even to this day, years after he retired, I think of Henrik Lundqvist. He's the king. He's one of the reasons why I fell in love with the sport. Being a kid, I wasn't like a huge fan of hockey, but I knew who Henrik Lundqvist was. And that was like a big part of why I started to get into it. I'm like, who is this Henrik Lundqvist guy? Then all of a sudden he's ranked on Forbes best looking man list all of a sudden. And this guy's done everything. So yeah, Henrik, man, the fans love you. Like, I think a large part of the support of this franchise that fans give is because of the experience they got to see watching arguably one of the best goaltenders in NHL franchise play for the team. He was a first ballot Hall of Famer, immediately into the Hall of Fame. His numbers retired. And as someone who growing up actually got to go to MSG and watch Lundqvist play, I was a part of that group that he was talking about, and all of the love and support that he was given. Being able to say that I was there cheering on a future hockey Hall of Famer, it makes me happy. It makes me kind of sad that I don't get to see him play anymore, especially with the way that his career ended with the open heart surgery and everything. But Lundqvist, generational player. Well, Igor is obviously very good and is probably the number one goalie in the world at this point. But I don't know if I'll ever fall in love with a goalie the same way that I did with Henrik Lundqvist. So Lundqvist is absolutely right. New York Rangers fans, we're the best fans in the entire league. There are plenty of times where we turn on each other and we say like, "Oh, Trouba, get out of here." But at the end of the day, if you're a legend, you're a legend. Henrik Lundqvist, you're a legend. And I miss you every day, and I hope you know that. And hope you're enjoying retirement. And do what Sergei Bobrovsky did, not Bobrovsky. Do what Roberto Luongo did. Become the special assistant to the general manager. Get your name on a cup. It's not too late, even if you're retired. Just sign on for like a useless job, do nothing, and if we ever win, your name's on the cup. And that is my final message for you, Hank. Sign on.
Yeah, nobody deserves it more than the King. I think, all the points you made there were really great and important. And he talked a lot about, how much of a struggle it was to end his career prematurely. But he made it clear like he's in great health and great spirits and he's really enjoying life right now. He said that he was flying back to Sweden the day after the panel. So he's just living his life, man. He's happy. He's having a good time and all of that fun stuff. I want to flip back to Matt Rempe, though, before we wrap this thing. And that'll kind of be like our last major takeaway from the panel. He mentioned how he's been training really hard, getting ready for camp, and feels like he hasn't earned anything and wants to show that he deserves the playing time. And I thought that was interesting because the way that I interpreted it is kind of like he was saying maybe some of the playing time that he got last year wasn't deserved. And maybe it was just because he was a fan favorite and the fans kept calling for him to be on the ice. They really wanted to see him play. Right. And I thought that his mindset of, I don't want to just be out there because the fans love me. I want to be out there because I'm helping the team win. Like, that's cool. And that's going to make a difference this year, especially if he has made those improvements to his game, improved his skating, improved his playmaking ability, all of that stuff. If those things are true and Rempe's really made that progress, I mean, he could end up being a really great player for the Rangers. Like, he's still young. He obviously is a great player in the sense that he provides that spark coming off the ice or coming on the ice and, making a difference in that way. But if he can start to make more of a difference in the way that he plays, and I mean, sky's the limit for the kid, big, tall enforcer. I really like his mindset, though. I think just the way that he's planning on attacking the season, acting like he's earned nothing, he doesn't want anything given to him. I think that kind of stuff will really make a difference for him.
Yeah, I love that mindset. And, even to just expand it beyond Rempe himself, that's really why I love the NHL. Like, no job is ever secure. You have one or two bad games, you can get sent down to the AHL. And, I don't want to get too off topic, but like, that's personally one of like my biggest gripes with like the NFL and the NBA is players will go out there and those leagues have like one good game and their press conferences are all like, I'm number one, I'm the dog, like, give me my paycheck. But like, relax for a second. Like, Rempe came out and became a fan favorite. We love him. Obviously, everyone watching loves him. But to him personally, he's a humble player. And I respect a lot of that because this upcoming season, who knows what's going to happen? Obviously, we're very confident as Rangers fans that we might be able to repeat our success from last season. But there's also, I've seen a couple people saying, we're not going to win the President's Trophy again. Maybe because the Metropolitan Division got so much better and we kind of stayed stagnant, maybe we'll fall down and maybe get a wild card spot. It's all a mystery right now on how we're going to perform this season, especially with the rest of the teams around us. So Matt Rempe staying humble, I love that, especially from a player who kind of has the most self-centered position where he's always fighting and making big hits and putting the spotlight on himself, feeling like you don't deserve it and you need to work harder. Perfect. Because that's what's going to make him go out there and try to earn it. He's not going to go skate comfortably. He's not going to just run around in circles acting like, oh, I can do whatever I want and I'm still going to have a roster spot. No, he's going to go out there. He's going to make every second on the ice count. And that's what's going to make him a better player. So just in general, I think that's the mindset the entire team needs to have. We have our stars. We have Mika Zibanejad. We have Igor Shesterkin. We have Artemi Panarin. I think I said him twice. Did I? No, I didn't. But I feel like that same mindset should apply even our best player, Panarin, right? I doubt the Rangers would ever realistically trade him or do anything to get him off the team. But we've also seen instances where Panarin has fallen off in crucial moments, especially the playoffs. And I think there's a level of comfortability that factors in. So, playing every game could be the last game of your career. Playing every shift could be the last second of your career is very important. It brings out the best in you. It makes you be a better player all around. You should always be looking to improve. So that mindset from Rempe, I love it. I want to see more of it. And if anything is going to make him a constant roster player, watching him play a full 82-game season, it's going to be that mindset. So 10 out of 10, Rempe. Thank you for at least being open enough to admit that for me to gain confidence in you.
I'm right there with you, man. I'm super confident in Rempe. I'm loving what he's bringing to the ice. Love the mindset that he kind of put on display during that panel. And every time we've heard from him this offseason, he just sounds locked in, dialed in, ready to go. And I think this is going to be a fun season. So it's still a slow point of the offseason, still not a ton to talk about, but I had a great time seeing those Rangers legends up on the stage at Fanatics Fest, covering that for ESM, and thought it would be fun to just kind of talk about that, reflect on it, and discuss what it means for the team with Rempe and Quickie kind of just grinding together this summer and seeing where that goes. So should be a lot of fun. Can't wait for the season, man. It's going to be a lot of fun here on Fireside Rangers.
I agree. And, really happy for you that you got to go see Fanatics Fest. A little jealous. I can't lie. I'll be open right now. I'll say I am a little jealous that I couldn't go. But who knows? There's always next year if Fanatics decides to do it again. So if you guys want to see me there, who knows? Maybe you should maybe you should subscribe. And maybe even you should just maybe ring a bell so you don't miss notification. It would even help the odds if you were to follow our social media platforms at Fireside Rangers. And the biggest thing you could do is you could leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. But that about concludes our recap of Fanatics Fest 2024. Anthony, our source is right here, man. If you want to know who quoted him, he's sitting right next to me and also across the state. But so yeah, if you guys did enjoy, do all that I said before. This is the point where I lose the outro. Hope you guys have a good night. See you guys next time. Preseason starts soon. I promise. Have a good one. And let's go Rangers.